Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The world #1 tennis player Novak Djokovic has returned to the tennis court, his family say, after overturning a visa ban. There were chaotic scenes in central Melbourne on Monday night as fans of Novak Djokovic crowded around a car they thought was carrying the Serbian player. Police struggled to hold back enthusiastic supporters as they prevented the car from progressing down the street. At one point, a man jumped up and down on the vehicle. Later, people were seen recovering after police sprayed pepper spray. Fans initially celebrated the news that the world #1 had won his case to stay in Australia, but his father says there is still a chance he'll be forced to leave.
They told him personally, for him it's better to go immediately, to leave Australia immediately, or they can match the penalty, 3 years ban to get into Australia in next 3 years.
Kazakhstan's president has described deadly violence last week as an attempted coup d'etat. He told leaders of ex-Soviet states the rioting had been coordinated but did not name those responsible. The streets of Almaty were calm today as public workers began to clean up after days of unrest. Troops from Russia and other countries are currently in Kazakhstan to restore order. The United States and Russia have begun negotiations in Geneva with the hope they can avoid further escalation in Ukraine. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister and the Deputy US Secretary of State are meeting in Switzerland and only made brief eye contact as they posed for photographs. Relations are at their most tense since the end of the Cold War. It comes as nearly 100,000 Russian troops are gathered within reach of the border with Ukraine in preparation for what Washington and Kiev say could be a new invasion. Two former Israeli prime ministers have faced off in court in Tel Aviv as Benjamin Netanyahu and his family began a defamation suit against Ehud Olmert. Mr. Netanyahu, his wife Sarah and their eldest son Yair are suing Mr. Olmert for $269,000 in damages for saying that they were mentally ill. Mr. Olmert made the claim in 2 Israeli TV interviews last April. He is arguing that it was not libelous because it was true and also that he was clearly expressing an opinion. Doctors say 2 people have died and dozens more injured in Sudan's capital Khartoum in the latest round of demonstrations against October's military coup. Both died from injuries resulting from being hit by tear gas canisters. A doctors' organisation allied to the protest movement, called the Central Doctors Committee, says 63 people have now been killed since the coup. Police in Sudan say 86 people were arrested during unrest on Sunday. Mali has condemned sanctions put on it by the West African bloc ECOWAS. In a speech, Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga called the measures inhumane and unjust. It's after West African leaders imposed sanctions on the country after its military government announced a long delay to elections originally planned for February. ECOWAS has agreed to close borders with Mali as well as implement a range of economic sanctions. In response, Mali's military government said that it was closing its land and air borders with ECOWAS. Devotees of the Hindu god Ayyappa have walked barefoot on a bed of burning embers in India's southern Shivamogga city as they performed a fire ritual to appease the deity. Devotees chanted prayers, dipped their hands in hot oil and walked on fire as people gathered to see them on the occasion. Firewalking is an ancient ritual which originated in India and is often still practiced to show people's devotion and faith in a deity. And finally, West Side Story and The Power of the Dog were the big winners at a subdued Golden Globe Awards ceremony. Steven Spielberg's remake of the classic 1961 movie won Best Musical or Comedy, while The Power of the Dog was named Best Drama Film. This year's event was dramatically pared down, with the ceremony not even being televised. The muted nature of this year's event follows allegations of corruption and a lack of diversity in its voting body last year. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.